ignorance. The whole of Arabia, there were no more than half a dozen people that could read or write. In the whole of Arabia, the nation is ummi to the core. And he chooses an ummi prophet. You know why? To prove to you that this is my work. This is I am doing it. Thomas Carlyle describes the people and what the Quran did to them. He says, a poor shepherd people. These Arabs, a poor shepherd people, roaming unnoticed in his deserts since the creation of the world. From the time Allah Bari Ta'ala created, since then, roaming unnoticed. Nobody gives you a second look. Nobody gave the Arabs a second look. You know, well, there's some interesting people here. They've got beautiful women there. Nothing, nothing. They won't give you a second look. A liability to anybody who'll take you on. You're a liability. What are they going to do with this? People who married the stepmothers, who buried the daughters alive, fratricidal wars over little things, killing one another. Cannibals. What are you going to do with them? Alexander the Great passed you by. The Persians passed you by. The Romans passed you by. Nobody interested in this human rubbish. He said, a poor shepherd people. Thomas Carlyle says this. A poor shepherd people, roaming unnoticed in his deserts in the creation of the world. See, the unnoticed becomes world notable. The small has grown world great. Within 1 century afterwards, Arabia is at Granada on this hand and at Delhi on that. Glancing in valor and splendor and the light of genius, Arabia shines over a great section of the world. He says, belief is great, life-giving. The history of a nation becomes fruitful, soul-elevating, great, so soon as it believes. Is it not? As if a spark had fallen, one spark, on a world of what seemed black unnoticeable sand. But lo, the sand proves explosive powder, blazes heaven high from Delhi to Granada. What did it? This book of God. That shepherds and camel drivers, one of our cousins, a Jew, writing a book on medicine, he's having a dig at his Arab cousins. A Jew. He's writing about medicine, but he's having his own. He's having a dig at us. You know what he says? He says, goat herds and camel drivers sitting on the throne of the Caesars. This is what these Arabs, goat herds and camel drivers sitting on the throne of the Caesars. This is Allah's work. You see, not you. You couldn't have done it. Allah is showing you. He said, look, this is what I can do. He's having a dig. But I said, there can't be a greater tribute than that. That from that, goat herds and camel drivers, Allah made you supreme, made you to rule half the known world. This is His book. This is what it did. And it can do the same once more again. It's a book, a miracle of miracles. Another example. In Surah Yasin, chapter 36, verse 36. Allah describes about sexes in the vegetable kingdom, in the animal kingdom, and of things that we don't know, which are all recent discoveries. He says, Subhanalladhi khalaqal azwaja kullaha. He says, glory be to Him who has created mates of everything, mimma tumbitul ardu, of that which the earth produces, the vegetable kingdom. وَمِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ, and from among yourselves, the animal kingdom, and وَمِمَّا لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, and of things that you don't know. Mates of everything. It's a recent discovery that even plants, flowers have sexes. There are some flowers that have male and female in itself. There are other plants and trees, they are separate sexes. Like the date palm. The male tree is different from the female tree. I'm sure you Arabs know that. See, we didn't know that. Mankind didn't know that. In the time of the Prophet, they didn't know that. Our Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina, he saw some Arabs, some of his children, the Arabs, little children, they were taking some flowers from the male tree and they were hitting on the female plant. So when Nabi asked the people, he said, why are they doing that? He said, we don't know. He said, no, he said, we saw our fathers doing it. Now this was the pet explanation for all the superstitions. They're worshipping idols and images. So why? So we found our fathers doing that. When you do such and such a thing, and horrible things, he said, why? He said, we saw our fathers doing that. So Allah says, even if your fathers were ignorant fools. So now, it seems like superstition. You're taking one plant and beating onto the other plant. It looks like superstition. So he says, stop it. See, the same type of argument which you use for your idols, your idol worship, now using for this. Stop it. And so they stopped it. And there was a crop failure that year in Medina. Very meager crop. So they came complaining to him. He said, oh Muhammad, look what you told us to do, and look as a result. Look at our dates. So when Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, look, you carry on with your beating of the plant. He didn't know, I don't know whether he knew, that this is a male plant and this is a female plant. They, Arabs, somehow they discovered by accident that sometimes when our children did that and that tree bear fruit in abundance. So he said, right, it's very good. So very good. They started doing it, keeping it going. Now they discovered, no, if you don't do that, because they didn't know about pollination, that the insects and the bees and the wind was doing the job. But it's not as good as you doing it physically, bringing them together, because the male plant can't come and walk and meet the female plant. Same thing in the pawpaws. It's a papaya, pawpaws, beautiful fruit. You see, I planted, I love this fruit. I ate one day and very tasty, so I took the seeds and I threw in my garden. And 2 pawpaw trees, they started, papaya, started growing. I don't know what you call it. Pawpaws. Is it understood? Papaya. We say papaya. They started growing. And in time they bore fruit, delicious fruit. Very tasty. So I took the seed and I planted again. Nothing. And I keep on planting the seeds, nothing is happening. Then I dried them up in ashes and planted, nothing happens. Then different ways of treating the seed. I tried and tried and tried, nothing happens. And I can't understand. Why? What's happened? When I threw the thing first and it grew, and now nothing is growing out of these seeds. The seeds look perfect. And it took me a long time to discover what when Allah says, Subhanallazi khalaqal azwaja kullaha mimma tumbitul ardu, of the vegetable kingdom. Then I found that the pawpaw trees, this papaya, there is a male tree and a female tree, like in the dates. The female tree has big flowers growing around the trunk. The male tree has a small stalks, and at the end of it are small flowers. The bees and the wind does the job of pollination. If there is a male tree around, it will be fertile. If there's no male tree, you can have 100 female trees, you'll get the fruit. But the seeds are all useless, worthless. You can't plant the seeds. You can't have any more pawpaws. Once they're old and dead, gone, finishes the finish. 1400 years ago, Allah Bari Ta'ala, through His Ummi Prophet, is telling us, Subhanallazi, glory be to Him, khalaqal azwaja kullaha. Miracle of knowledge. I think I will end with this one last example for this evening. As I say, there are endless, wallah, there are endless. An illiterate a layman like me, I can give you a dozen. I give you, this book of Allah is a miracle of journalism. Journalism is a miracle, wallah, of embryology, what information it gives you. Psychology. Look, each and every man of science, I said, go to the book.